Okay. So the reason I wanted to talk about this topic today is because it is going to be your foundation of spirituality. Okay. So this will be how you are able to move past the anxiety, depression, the trauma, and how you have the confidence to go on about your life and do what you want to do. This is how you will stop fearing your future, fearing people, how you overcome jealousy, how to calm your nervous system also from people that are toxic around you. Okay. And so this is really, really crucial because without this step, this is how anxiety, depression, and also overthinking always manifested. And into that manifests into many panic attacks, not sleeping well at night, always trying to control the future, control your situation, predict the future, every everything. This is a crucial, crucial, crucial step, along with, as we've talked before, CBT, which is rewiring your brain, and then also movement, the physical body. Okay. Most people they get the first two, which is movement and rewiring the brain, but they leave out spirituality, and that does a huge disservice. Okay, so we will talk about that today. And what we're really talking about is the okay, let me just go knowing God, right? And so, what does knowing God mean? Okay, some people they know God exists. I've been Muslim all my life, um, under the umbrella of Islam all my life, knew that God existed, but did not build that mind to heart to reality connection. Okay, it was like this when I was younger, but not when you get into adulthood because you're just so ingrained in, um, the modern life, just going, 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 that you lose sight of God, His power, His attributes, His ability, right? And again, as I mentioned, this is how you will find safety, security, and certainty, right? In your future, in yourself. Um, Depression, the reason, a big part of depression is that there really isn't any hope, right? So where you find your hope and how you will start open up yourself to opportunities to the life that you want, whether it's a spouse, whether it's financial situation, whether it's a particular lifestyle. You have to open up yourself to these possibilities, and it will give you the confidence to say what you want to say, to take the fears that you want to take, the risks, and go on about your life and live your life because of these principles that we'll go through over today. Okay. And so, what I'm going to do today is that I am going to talk about to you about proving to you and using the deduced knowledge, the intellect, to come about these attributes, okay? To come about these foundational attributes of the creator, okay? So I want you to um, take out what you have learned from religion, take out what you have learned from society, take out what you have learned from your parents and culture, and use your intellect. We all have intellect, okay? And this intellect, with it, if it's used properly, it is able to come to conclusions, okay? So, and I say proper intellect is very, very important because if you have illogical thinking and illogical thought patterns, you will end up contradicting yourself. So, this type of intellect is that um, we will use it in a way that comes to the conclusion without contradiction. Okay, so we'll be using basically deduced knowledge, which is that knowledge that is gathered by the proper intellect. And so there's three types of intellect judgments. Um, the first one is an intellectual necessity. This means this is what the mind accepts as a necessity. This has to happen. So, right? So think the law of cause and effect. For Y to happen, for something to happen, X must have caused it to happen. If I wanted to get on this live, I had to put a link, tell people about it, and then show up, right? It can't have just happened by itself. Another example, for a child to be born, it needs a male and a female. This is proof that we have that this proper knowledge is needed. The other is the intellectual impossibility. So this is what the mind cannot comprehend. So, for example, it's an impossibility for a situation to happen. So, what does that mean? If a snake is eating its own tail, yet still being alive, this does not make sense. In reality, this does not make sense. How can something eat itself yet be alive? So, this is an intellectual impossibility. The third possibility that we're talking about, the intellectual possibility, is, what the mind can accept to be true in one situation and for it to not be true in another situation. So this could have happened or this could have happened. So I used to remember thinking, the sun could have been green. Why is it yellow? The trees, why are they not blue? Right? Why am I 5'3" and not 5'7"? I could have been 5'7". I could have had different parents. I could have had lived a different situation. And that is true. Like that possibility could have happened. So we are using these type of intellectual judgments to deduce the attributes of the creator, right? Altogether, there's 13 of them, and then so we will take them one by one. Okay. So again, we're leaving out religion, we're leaving out society, we're leaving out family, and what culture says. Okay. So pretend that if we were not influenced by anything, it was just you and your thoughts. Or you can take it as like, what if someone who has lived in, let's say, South America, in um, the forest, right? So he is not by culture. He's not influenced by culture, by technology, by society. These are the type of questions that will pop up. And these are the type of questions that used to pop up to me when I was younger and before technology. And so these will cause us to reflect and think, right? So, for example, why are the leaves green? Why is there death and there's life? Why is the sun yellow? Who created the sky, right? Stuff like that. Questions, basic questions that usually pops up in your heart. You feel it. Okay. So one question that used to pop up to me was just like, okay, if there's a building, somebody created a building. If there was a building, somebody had to create a builder, right? For every building, there's a builder. For every painting, there's a painter. The pattern here is for everything, for every doing, for everything, there's a doer, right? I did not create myself. I know I did not create myself. I did not choose my height, my gender, the color of my eyes, or my body. I am limited, right? The trees, the sun and the moon, the stars in the universe, they themselves did not create themselves because they're in harmony. Because if they did create themselves, then they would put themselves superior. So even in nature, every aspect of this world has a role. So how is it? Why is it in harmony? So the fact that their nature in itself is not superior to any other, rather everything works together. Everything is an ecosystem. Nature does not clash. It does not fight. It means that someone would have to create it this specific way. And so just by reflecting and thinking, if every painting has a painter, and every doing, every action has something to manifest that, therefore there must be a creator, right? I am not the creator. I did not create myself. So by using the same logic, nature cannot create itself. Everything that I see cannot create itself. So using the intellectual necessity and reflecting, there's a conclusion that this doer is a creator, and he created everything. He created everything on earth, he created everything in the universe and the skies. Okay? That is what the intellect accepts. So we said that, everything created on earth It has a beginning. I did not create myself and then I was created. Therefore, I have a beginning. So this creator creates everything. The stars, the moons, my thoughts, my body, light. If if this creator created everything, so does the people think, does that not mean that, so who created the creator? That's impossible because if the creator created everything, then therefore he cannot be created. So what this means is that the creator, he cannot have an end and he cannot cease to exist. And he does not have a beginning and he was not created. Because something or some, again, as we mentioned, something must have built that, must have had happened, that happened to it. So when people say, oh, then who created this creator? It's a faulty, illogical question. It does not make sense. So this creator itself cannot be created. And this is something that we accept. Is it something that we understand? No. Is it something that we can comprehend? Absolutely not. We are limited and we'll go through that later on. But um, the creator, he cannot be created and he cannot cease to exist because something creating is something for it to be created, right? So there's a creator, he was not created. And then this creator, he created everything with the beginning and the end. So why would this creator in himself, eternal and limitless, limit himself by direction, body, light, uh, or location, right? So it doesn't make sense. So what this also means is that this creator who created everything, was not created, cannot be bound by his creation. It does not make sense that the creator would, oh, he doesn't have anything. He was created, and then he needed to create something, and then he takes a place on it. He needs an aid for it, right? So this means that he's not bounded by location, so he's not above the sky. He does not sit on the throne, does not come up or down, um, because all of these are creations. There could have been, I think there was a math video that I watched. It was back in high school when it was shown like a one dimension, two dimension, so three-dimension objects. So the object in one dimension cannot see the two dimensions, and the two dimension cannot comprehend or see the third dimension. So what does that mean? It's telling you even that dimensions in themselves are creations. They are limited. So this is something that, as the one who created the world, I personally would not submit to somebody who is limited because my ego will not allow it. All right. So again, it does not make sense that the creator would have a beginning or cease to exist. That means so many things, like we can't depend on him, right? So the creator also, to create this world, to create the trees, the universe, space, and even ourselves, power is needed. So once upon a time, I did not exist, but now I exist. So the power is what brought me from non-existence to existence. So ability and power, the ability to do something, and the power to create something must be an attribute. This power cannot be limited. It can't be weak. Okay? It has to have control over everything, over all its creations. And this power has to overtake everything it was created with, right? It would not make sense. And we feel this too. Like, I am bounded. I cannot do whatever I want. As much I would like, I cannot grow wings from my back and fly away, right? I cannot create that. I don't have the power to do that. I am bounded by the laws of this world. So even let's think about it realistically, right? If I wanted to move to another country, have a big mansion with 4 or 5 cars, or take my mother out to to travel every other week. Can I do that right now? I would love to. If I had the power to do that, I would love to. But because I don't have real power, I cannot change the situation. I have to play by the laws of this world that were created. If I had real power, if I had this type of power, it would just be without help, without trying, without waiting, without being bounded by laws. So this power, God's power, the Creator's power, that cannot be the case. It cannot be weak, it cannot be limited, it cannot be dependent on time. The mind would not accept something like this. So this is a type of power that is attributed with the Creator. It also, just like the Creator himself, like it was not created, this power cannot be created and cannot cease to exist. It cannot increase or decrease, it cannot change. So this attribute in itself is powerful, and overtakes everything. Also, remember we asked the question, why is the sun yellow? Why is it not blue? This is an intellectual possibility. It could have been blue, but for some reason it's not. So I could have been 5'5" or 5'7", but I am 5'3". I did not choose to be 5'3". Why am I 5'3"? At the end of the reason, there has been a decree, a decision made that I will be 5'3". This is the reason why the sun, it could have been blue, but it's yellow. The sky, it could have been green, but it's blue, right? So we could have been also created without the need of food or water or sleep, okay, or with wings. Uh, um, these are real possibilities. But the fact that things are specified, that things are decided, this means that there is a will, okay? And with this will, the creator, he wills things to happen, how they happen, not to happen, or not, or how to not happen, or he wills things for it to specify things with it, right? We don't have the knowledge and the wisdom to understand and comprehend this, but this is something that is a necessity to answer these types of questions. So with this will, it's specified and it allows things to happen or not happen. Also, knowledge is an important attribute. Can you imagine like creating something, building something, and not knowing how it functions and how it works? That does not make sense. That's an intellectual impossibility. I built this house, but I don't know what's inside of it. I built this house brick by brick, but don't know what brick it is and the best way to utilize these bricks and the best way to utilize this house. That doesn't make sense. It's impossible. So therefore, knowledge must be an attribute of the creator, right? So the creator, he cannot, again, cannot be bounded by time, cannot be limited by space, by dimensions, because these are all limits. These are all creations, cannot be bounded by light, because these are creations and they are weaknesses. So this creator, because he is not bounded by time, and time is a creation, he knows about me, my past, my future, my current situation, right? He knows about all of his creations, what is happening, without being bounded at the same time, without even um he knows about all of his creation at the same time, like all together. This is like impossible for us to understand, but it's like brings us in awe and humility, right? Because how is this? And you can't even say how because you're just in awe. Okay, so all of his creations, what is happening, the possibilities that may be happening, the factors that might occur, and what is actually going to happen. All of this, the creator must know this because he cannot be bounded by time. He cannot be bounded by creation. He cannot be surprised. He cannot like, oh, like this caught me off guard. This is something that we want. The heart will not, the ego even will not submit to. If I know somebody needed help, if somebody I'm asking somebody a question and he did not know, I'm gonna be like, why am I asking you? Why am I here? I'm not going to talk to you. I don't respect you. I'm not going to eliminate myself to you. Therefore, the creator cannot be as such, right? And then this again, knowledge has to be all-knowing, cannot be bounded. And this is why we're able to continue to ask God and about, um, our future, our past, our current situation, and even accept what's happening. Also, this creator must be, along with, having knowledge, he must be all seeing and all hearing. So if he knows by association, he also has to be all seeing and all hearing. So again, his hearing and his sight cannot be limited by his creation. It cannot, I have like, at one time I did not have hearing and now I have hearing. That's a creation. Being able to hear is bringing something from non-existence to existence. So that's an impossibility. His hearing has to always exist without the beginning or an end, with his sight, without a beginning or an end. They cannot be weak, cannot depend on light, sound waves, or limbs. Again, because these are creations, meaning they are limitations. If anyone expects something, accept something or submit to something that is limited, the ego will not accept that. The heart will not accept that. Okay. And so there is a possibility that there is a creator without being bounded. Can we imagine it? No, absolutely not. Can we understand it? No. And so this is where humility has to come in. I know something exists. I know it exists like this. I cannot comprehend it, right? So limitations are created and specified, and creations are in need of one who put those limitations on them. So if the creator has knowledge, hearing, and sight, he cannot have limitations. His and his attributes cannot be dependent on his creations. So if he has all of these, then this also means that he is alive, but not in a life that we are a sense alive. It is just an attribute, sorry, speech. So he must have speech. So not commanding, not ordering and leaving things alone and not guiding in itself is a weakness. So this creator must have speech and he must command his creation. He must let his creation know what to do. He must guide his creation. Can you imagine I mean, we have this all the time when we have parents who um, they give birth to us and we're basically alone to fend for ourselves. Do we listen to such people, teachers or bosses? Do you respect and listen to such authority figures? No, you don't. So with his speech, he guides and he tells us what is permissible and what is not permissible. So just like how every laptop has a manual of what to do and what not to do, we also need a manual. We also need some guide to tell us what to do and what not to do. Why? Because we don't want to get in trouble. We don't want to be in pain. We want to know how to be able to process information and how to go on about life. So it would not be fair if we were created and then left alone. That's just not fair. That's an injustice. And so there must be a way, a guide for us to live this life. So, and this is the only part that when I was looking to this, I was like, okay, then this means this is the attribute that was just like, okay, then there is a religion, there is a book, there's a guide. And then I obviously chose which religion I think is the proper religion for me. Um, and yeah, and so this is because of this speech, because we need guidance and we need um, help. Okay, so but going back, as we mentioned before, as we have been mentioning, the speech cannot be bounded, it cannot be weak, it cannot be defended. So the speech is not with a voice. I have a voice. It starts and it stops. So this is a weakness because it changed. I need vocal cords. There are some people who don't have vocal cords, and they are unable to speak. It cannot be with a language, because language is something that's created. It's something that is bounded, right? So I said specific letters and I stopped saying specific letters. I start and I stop. That in itself detail de shows a beginning and an end. As we mentioned, God does not have a beginning and he does not have an end. The creator does not have a beginning and he does not have an end. Okay. And then so because he has, hopefully I get this right, the next one right. These five attributes, because He has knowledge, will, power, sight, and hearing. He's attributed with being alive because the dead do not have these attributes. When we will be in our graves, we will not have any of this. I don't have power. I don't have the will to bring myself back to life. I don't have the power to do that. I don't have knowledge of what will be outside. When I'm dead, I'm gone from this world. I won't have any knowledge of what's happening. And obviously, my sight and my hearing will be gone. So it's just an attribute that because these are everlasting, and he will not go without an end, he's also attributed with being alive. But again, it's not like with the creation. Like he's doesn't have a body, he does not have a soul, limbs, or lungs. He does not need to depend on air. None of these. None of these. So he is just basically attributed with alive just because of these attributes without necessarily having to imagine and having to fully comprehend how, because again, how is a limitation. It's something, the humans, that we use to um, to understand what is happening. And we only use what our tools, our sense says to understand. So these are creations using creations to try to comprehend the creator, who is boundless and limitless, is not comprehended, and is not bounded by his creation. It does not make sense, right? So what this means when you put everything together, it's intellectually impossible that the mind would accept that there is another creation like him. Sorry, there's a creator like him. That was a slip of the tongue. So there is nothing like this creator in his attributes, in his existence, in his power, and what he is able to do. We know this because look at the world. It's in harmony. As we mentioned, the nature doesn't try to overcome itself. Nature in itself does not try to fight itself, try to fight each other for power. Therefore, we know that um, um, nature in itself is not the creator. If there was another creator, right? What if he willed for ants to be 3 feet tall, and this creator did not? Would there not be a crash? Or would this world, this universe even exist? Again, humans. Why are we in conflict? Why do we have wars? Because we have desires, we have choices, we have powers, we have dreams. Even like forget about war, but think about your own family. Do you not have conflict with them? Do you not have a particular way of living and they have a particular way of living? And so that crashes. So the fact that the world does not crash, that nature is in harmony and there's an ecosystem, it really shows that there's only one creator unique like him. Nothing else exists except him. And again, it is intellectually impossible for the creator to be in need, specifically and especially in need of his creation, right? And this means not of location. He does not need worship. He does not need his creation to worship him or a body or a light, right? The reason why we ask God while we listen, okay, let's just say, I'm never going to bring religion to this, so I'm not going to, I'm going to spin it back. But again, can you imagine like being in need of something and then submitting yourself to the thing that someone needs? No, because being in need in itself is a weakness, right? I need food. I need water. I need sleep. There's a big, huge reason of me why I can't humble myself. Let's just say that. I don't humble myself to humans is because of this particular reason. It's because um I know that they are in need. I know I am in need. So why would I humble myself to someone like that? And this in itself is going to be a huge pillar, a huge foundation for why you should stop fearing people, why you would stop having social anxiety, people of fearing people. their judgments, their power, their ability over you, because you know at the end of the day, they're just like you. Why would you fear someone that's just like you? And they themselves don't have power and control over everything. They are just uh, it's an illusion. But anyways, so why would you ask? Why would you humble yourself to someone who is like you and is in need? Why would you ask someone humbly, again, humbly submit yourself to someone if they are also in need, right? We ask each other help from all the time. Hey, can you pass me the remote? Can you give me some cereal? Do you? But this is not the same humbleness. This is not the need that we are asking for. When we have a particular need, especially when we are blocked, stressed, or in a particular hardship in a situation, we have to humble ourselves to be like, I have absolutely no power. I need help, right? So this creator cannot be in need. He is unique of that because he also has power over all of his creation, right? He has the power to do that, and he has the power and ability to change your situation. Okay, and he did not need of you. He's not in need of me or of any of his creation. Like we said, he does not need light. He does not need location. He does not need a body. None of that. Okay, he is without need, and he himself does not need support. So together, all of his attributes together. One would conclude, they're nothing like the creator. Okay? Because everything that we can possibly imagine is a creation. Like the sun itself is a creation. It comes and it goes. If God was light, like some people say, then that means that he leaves, and that is a weakness. Same thing with darkness. He cannot be above or below because those are directions. And when you put something in a direction, you have limited them and put them in a body, right? Like that's not God. That's not the creator. He doesn't have emotions like love, laughter, happiness, or anger. All of these are human traits. I know people like to say, oh, God loves, God accepts. When I heard that, that was something, when I heard that when I was like 10, I was like, absolutely not. Because I knew love blinds people. I knew love um, is illogical. It does not make sense. It makes people lose their sanity to some degree. I'm like, this is a weakness. Absolutely not. So our attributes are not like the attributes of the creator. He is not in a location. Space is a location. Sky is a location. He's not in the heart. Um, the remembrance of God could be in the heart, but God does not take a location. Also, he's not in the brain. He's not in us. He's also not nature. He's not space. He's not the universe or even odd atoms, right? So when when the intellect puts everything together, when the intellect thinks like this, it will not humble itself to a creator that is like it. I personally would not, right? So why would I not do that? Because my ego, because it would think, I am like this. Why should I not be of higher status? Why people should not worship me? If I have one particular attribute and I don't respect that particular attribute, and because it's limited, then I'm gonna be like, well, you have a fault. Why would I submit to somebody or listen or ask to a creator that has a fault? So we think, right? And this is an image, even in our head, all of it is a creation. Therefore, we cannot imagine the creator. This makes sense, right? Why? Because, like, how could something limited, how could a limited creator imagine a limited creation imagine something without limit? So we can't imagine time. We can't imagine the aspects of forever. Can't even imagine space. But because we know it just keeps going on and on and on and on, we don't have that capability. So there is a particular limit that we just like, okay, like done. It's just not going to happen. So we can't say how. Should I say it's impossible to say how? It's impossible to say why, because these are words used to understand. And we cannot imagine something without using our senses. our senses, which are things that are created. This means, by saying how, is trying to understand the creation with his create with his the it's trying to understand the creator with his creation. And this does not make sense. It's a weakness, it's limitation, it's impossible. So we have a question. Let's see what happened. So there is a an Islamic um, hadith that says that if its literal sense is that um, God comes down to the lower heaven and answers the prayers, whether it's the third of the night or whether it's uh, the day, a special day of Arafah. And the reason, I study Arabic and I noticed that for every single word, there are two types of, in Arabic, there are two types of meaning. So there's the literal meaning, and there is a kind of mutashabih is what it's called, which means like it's a likening. So the word that they use, I don't anzala, it's not saying him. He is ordering the angels to do so, right? He does not come down. God does not come down, does not go up. Like this is change. Like even in the third of the night, let's say God comes down. It's like it's always going to be the third of the night somewhere. So does that mean that God comes up and down all the time? Like it does not make sense. He sends the angels to come down, and the angels themselves are the ones that um, do what they execute on the God's commands. It's not God himself. He's not limited by anything. And this would make sense, right? Especially this way, it's very, very, I had this particular thought. And that's why I was having these out of body, I was not connected to my body. I was not connected to earth because I kept thinking um, outside of these limitations. When I stopped trying to imagine God, like I fell into my body. It was such a ridiculous, I had no idea. I stopped, fell into my body, and I'll think, oh, I'm in the heart. Like, no, I'm not in the heart. Like, I have absolutely no idea how to explain it. But when I stopped trying to imagine, I start feeling, I start being grounded, sorry, on earth. When I see the trees, I know it's trees. When I see grass, I know it's grass. I know I'm on earth. I know I'm in my body. When I had anxiety and when I was overthinking a lot, there was such a huge disconnection from my body and my thoughts. It really felt like an out of body experience. And I did not even know this until I took these lessons. And so actually, I had to say my shahada again because this is something that is not accepted by Islam. This is not what the Muslims um, accept. This might be not what the Western Muslims, the consensus of Muslims, um, might not know this, but if you're talking about like Malaysia and Indonesia and even some places in Saudi Arabia, they don't think like Americans. They don't think like we do. Yes. So um, it's crazy. I don't, it's so crazy. When I started thinking like this, I'm like, this makes so much sense. This makes so much sense. So do not try to imagine the creator. It's intellectually impossible. Um, and if you want to be Muslim, and you believe that the Prophet, um, alayhi salatu wasalam, is the Prophet, you would have to say the Shahada again loud enough for you to um, hear it so you can enter Islam again, because this is not what Islam accepts. So, subhanAllah, um, when I stopped even thinking about the future the next day, everything started coming back. I felt like I was coming home to myself again. And so, why is it important? I don't know if we finished the 13 yet. Okay. So, why is it important to think about God like this? Why is it important to have this proper understanding and have a foundation, again, you will be grounded. You will not imagine God. God is unimaginable. When you see the sky, it's just the sky. When you see the trees, it's just the trees. Your situation, the way that you see and perceive reality will completely change 100%. And so you will not think my solutions is going to come from the ground, from the sky, and then it's going to come like on a piece of paper. No, you will start looking for solutions in your reality. um I need to I need to make money, right? For example, I need to make money. I'm not going to imagine angels coming down. Here's $100,000. No, you start looking at situations. Okay, I need money. I need to build a business. Okay, so this is step number one. I need help with building this business, and I need ideas, and I need help. So you will start asking help, and you will start looking at your particular situation. Um, Yeah, you would start looking for help and you would start looking for your situation. You will be grounded in reality. Let's just say that. You'll be looking for signs in your situation rather than somewhere outside of you, right? Again, when you know that God is in control of everything, you will not fear people. People don't have ultimate power, they don't have ultimate control. People are just like you. You will start to place them at the same level as you, not above and not below. So, um, what does that mean? It means your social anxiety will be gone. You'll be able to feel calm and relax. You're able to socialize. You will not care what people think. You'll not care what people say because you know that they're just people. They're just like you. And most and foremost, when you, with anxiety, with depression, overthinking, we have this perfectionist mentality. Like we're not able to make mistakes. Um, when you realize that you're a human and you are not this perfect being and you can make mistakes, you will be able to make mistakes. This is how you start feeling calm and relaxed, and coming back to your body and coming back to your personality and that even that childlike mindset, right? So this means absolutely no more social anxiety. Um, the way that you understand your hardships, the way that you understand or try to cope with the past, your present, or even your future, it will start to change because I did not choose my parents. I did not choose to be this gender. I did not choose to be in this particular time. God willed all of that for me. So, um, this is something that I would have to accept, whether I like it or not, right? So you would start accepting and understand that you are bounded, and that just like the one who has put me in the situation, he can take me out. This is how you start asking for help, right? You're opening yourself to new opportunities. You're no longer stuck by your reality and by what numbers say, about what Western society says. You have to work a 9 to 5, you have to put 75 hours in, you have to be this perfect person and meet deadlines and blah, 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 blah. It's just like, actually, I can live a life where I'm working 3 to 5 hours. I am building a business. I am spending time with my family because there is a creator and he created that possibility. And that possibility is linked to you because he created you and he allowed other people to achieve that. So why can't you achieve that? So now you start asking the one who created these possibilities, right? And this is how actually I started overcoming jealousy. I had major jealousy of anybody who was successful because I'm like, why do they have that? Why don't I have that? They're not even working that hard. I'm working super hard. And so jealousy would manifest in my heart. And so if you had ever had jealousy, it's just like, something squeezing your heart. It really is not a good feeling. And so every time I was jealous of something, every time I wanted somebody's success of somebody else, first and foremost, I'd be like, okay, you know what? God provided for them that. Let them let protect it and increase it for them. God, I want the same. I want the exact same. As a matter of fact, I want more than what they have. Because now you just open up yourself to new possibilities. You're no longer confined by what you used to believe, right? Not about yourself, not about your situation, not about your family, not about anybody or anything, right? And this is how you're able to overcome your psychological struggles, your limitations that you have put on yourself. And these limited beliefs, the reason why a lot of people don't actually are able to go above and beyond and reach what they wanted to reach because they have limiting beliefs. They say, "Oh, I can't do this because I don't have proper parents." It doesn't matter. When you say that I have limited beliefs, I can't do this. What you're basically saying is that God will not open this opportunity for me, right? The Creator will not open up this opportunity for me. And so, um, don't think about yourself. Just be like, oh, God has the power and ability to open that for me. I might not be able to do it, but God has the ability, so I'm going to ask Him because now you are limiting the possibilities for what can happen to you. I'm limited. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to achieve my dreams, and quite frankly, it's not my business. I do not care. I just have to ask, put in the work, obviously, and then be patient and keep asking and be patient, looking for the signs and being patient and putting in the work and asking, and it will come somehow, some way, right? And this is how you also gain your confidence because now you have a supporter, you have an aid, you have a provider, you have a sustainer, you have safety. How, how are you going to take a jump? How are you going to take a risk if there isn't a safety net underneath you? So, this is a very, very, very crucial aspect of spirituality. And this is why a lot of people actually get stuck. And this is why I've been stuck for so many years because I was I did not know God. I did not know how to cope. I did not know how to think. I did not know really think about his abilities and his power. So once I started connecting myself and attributing myself and to this power, to his power, to his mercy, to his ability, to his will, and humbled myself to it, life changing. It's literally life changing. This is how I was able to start to sleep properly. I used to wake up in the middle of the night panic attacks because I was afraid I didn't know when my next check is going to come in. And so um, the reason why I wanted to give this today is because I will continue to talk about spirituality. Again, religion is like when you accept that, this is how God is, his attributes. And then for Islam, for example, that the prophet is the last messenger, you have to make a testification. And then you become Muslim. And then when you become Muslim, there's particular laws. Hijab is a religious ruling, right? It's not a spiritual ruling. But when we talk about what we're going to talk about from here on out, we're going to talk about spirituality. And this is just basically how to ask, how to connect, how to move on, how to open up yourself to new possibilities, hope, the confidence, that jealousy, um, overcome that jealousy, and so much more. And yeah, I think that's all I have for today. If you have any questions, I would love to hear them. But thank you so much for attending. I will also post this, and I'm so excited for all of us because um, this is how you build that new persona. This is how you overcome your past, your fears, and how you are able to feel like yourself again. Because we do have a provider, we do have a supporter, we do have a sustainer, and we are currently safe, right? The fact that we are able to blink and breathe and our digestive system is working properly is such a blessing, right? And again, this puts you in a mind of from um, scarcity, I don't have, to I have so much. I have so much. I have all the support that I need from a lack to abundance, right? So thank you guys. Thank you so much for for showing up. I will post this. If you have any questions, my emails are always open. And yeah, I would love to hear what you guys have to say.